Hey, welcome back. So, we're now at the stage to where we're going to work with your recipients, and so we'll show you how that tab works. Go ahead and log into your application. And there's your familiar campaign. Details tab we talked. Data file you're familiar with. Data columns. You created a couple of templates. V1, V2. Now let's go to the recipients, which obviously recipients by definition is the receiver of your emails. So click on that tab. You'll see that familiar grid. Let's talk about this grid for a minute. Again, bottom right of the grid you see the refresh button. You're able to refresh. You see an email address, and status reason is the when an email gets sent or not, the application will put either a success or an error within this field, within that column. And over here you'll see all your other columns. One thing you'll notice is that the columns on the left part of the grid are locked, and so you can scroll horizontally just like that if you wanted to. Again, you're familiar with this. You can remove columns if you choose to be hidden. What you also notice is a lock or an unlock for a column. So status reason is locked, but let's say we don't want it at this time. We can unlock it. So now you see it scrolls with the rest of them, and let's say, but for this purpose we want to lock it on up. So lots of buttons on the bottom. Lots of buttons. The import button will import all your data rows from your spreadsheet into the recipients grid table. The queue button actually tells the server that all the recipients that we imported, queue them up, put them in a queue to be sent. Doesn't mean they're being sent. It gets them, it stages them. The start button actually starts sending the emails, but only the emails that the recipients that have been queued up. And here's that cancel button that we talked about. Once a campaign has started and emails are starting to be sent, let's say you have 1,000 emails to send. If at some point you wanted to cancel or stop the campaign, you would press this button here. And then the status button does just that. It gets the current status of the campaign. And save settings is a button that allows you to save the configuration of your grid so that when you come back at any point, you don't have to reset your grid. Because one thing you're able to do, like I showed you on the grid, you can hide a column, but you can also move columns around. And so with saved settings, that means that if you go to another computer, come to the application, it'll still have your settings. So those are the big buttons. Let's say that I came in here. Let's just go through some of these. Nothing, no recipients, but let's click on the Q button, and it'll give you an error. No recipients were added. Only try and send emails to recipients that have a blank status. All others are considered work. Well, not only that, but there's no recipients. So nothing happened. And you can check the status by clicking on the status button. And it says blah, blah, blah. Success, errors not sent, queue ready. Okay. And if you tried to press start, it says, well, doesn't matter if you tried to start, there's nothing to send. It's been empty. So step one, queue up recipients. But as you notice, we don't have any recipients. So first step is actually, let's do an import. So this import button is going to go back to the active data file and pull in each row of data. So let's do that. It's going to ask you, it's going to, if we had recipients already here and we did this, it's telling you we're going to delete them all before we do a new import. So we're good with that. And boom, just like that. All the recipients were added. There's no code or reason within the status reason column, which is good. And here's our data columns for each person. Let's go ahead and hide status reason for now. Okay. As you see, some of these people have a template version that a template does not exist. We know V3 doesn't exist, but we're not going to worry about that right now. But as you see, let's go down to some of these formatting. If you remember, we had told the system to format our seniority date with an abbreviated month, day, year. There's our salary without decimals, our percent increase with decimals as a percentage, our full salary, which is also a calculated column. It means the column is a formula, and then percent full-time. Okay. Again, you can press refresh and refresh the grid. Grid also lets you change number of items per page if you so choose. If there is wrong data in here, like let's say current salary for this particular person should be 99, or let's go 555, you should go ahead and update that. Okay, so we have recipients, and recipients all have a reason of nothing, which means in our world nothing's been sent to this individual. And I've created email addresses on Gmail, Interbay Brown, Interbay Green, and they'll be receiving emails. So once you import your recipients and everything's good, you're going to queue them up. Step 2 is queue them up. Press the button and it tells you 12 recipients were added. And the next step is to press the start button. Before we do that though, let's go check the status. It says queue's ready, 12 have not been sent, and there's 12 of them actually in the queue waiting. So, but let's say, well, I need to update some data. You can come over here and still press this cancel button. And this is where we talked about earlier that the timeout on the server, because emails are not being sent yet, and there's a timeout. So time expired, we forced the cancellation, which means we deleted the queue. So let's go take a look at that. Check status. There we go. We still show there's 12 not sent, but there's nothing in the queue. Even if we try to press start, it's going to say that nothing's in the queue. So we basically cancel our queue. But we do want to send, so let's go ahead and queue them up. And let's go ahead and press the start button. And it says, are you sure you want to kick off this campaign? And that we only send to recipients that have a status field of blank. So we're going to say yes. Okay. And boom, process is started. You can check the status by pressing the status button. Also, the person identified up here in details will get a notification. So let's check the status. We see it's completed, but we see 12 errors. Oops. So press OK, and there we go. If you notice, a bunch of errors. So let's go back to details. Aha. Say, I had set my email server to no-go. So let's go ahead and change that to Gmail. Let's go back to our recipients. I can do one of two things. I can either edit and change all these fields back to update, back to nothing, or if you haven't changed any data, easiest is just to re-import the data. Okay, sets everything back. Status, there's nothing in the queue, so we're going to queue them up. 12 have been added. You can verify that by pressing the status button. Yep, everything's ready. I'm going to press the start button to actually kick off the emails. And it says it started. So you can come down, check the status, and it's showing not sent, in queue, success. It looks like we got 4 errors still, but 8 of them were successful. So the grid gets refreshed. So as we talked, V3, there is no such template. So since it did not find the template, it did not send to those people. But let's go verify that those emails got sent and they got received by those people. Let's log out of Boss. Let's log in. As Mr. Green. Okay, and here we go. There is our email. There should be 4 of them. And as you see, there's our header image. There's the long date, which is today's date in long format. Here's a short date, today's date in a short format. We made our template version as a header 2. And here's our merge fields. Here's our percentage. Here's our salary with decimals, which is also a calculated field with a formula. And as you see, that was template V2, which didn't have email address and preferred first name. And here V1 has them all, preferred name, email address, and there is V2 again and V1. Just like that, there's Mr. Green. And let's go check out Mr. Brown. Okay. Again, tells us, there's the subject line we set up. And there's the specific data and the emails for this particular person. So it all worked. It's also showing it was sent on behalf of Bossman. There you go. So finally, let's go log in as the Bossman. And he received the completion email. Tells us what campaign, when it was started, and the stage, successful, the errors, and we told it to go 1 second between, so there is exactly 12 seconds from the start to the end, and that's about right. Okay, so emails were sent. Let's say we had some errors, so let's go clean these errors up, change that to V2, update that record, update V2. There we go. Edit this one. Okay. Edit this one. And let's finally edit this one to a valid template. And I'm going to refresh the grid just to verify. Okay. Let's check the status. So we have 4 now that are showing as not sent. So, since we know that only recipients with a status of blank will be sent, that means we corrected our errors, and let's go ahead and queue them up. As you see, 4 of them were added to the queue, which is our 4 errors, and it'll show us right here. There's 4 in the queue. Go ahead and start the campaign. kick it off again. Process started. And at any point we can press the status button, and now we've got all success. As soon as I press OK, the grid will refresh and we'll see the updated success. There you go. So we had a successful campaign. If we go look, Bossman received another update, and now showing 12 are successful. So that's exactly what we want to see. And anytime you want to just start over, press the import. It's going to remove, delete all the old. Everything's set back, including our template version. Okay, so that concludes the recipients. Let's go ahead and go back to the home screen, log out, and we'll talk about some tricks in a next module.